Hey, I'm Shane Hill from the Eagle 100.9, joined by very special guest, Amy Bishop. How's it going, Amy?
It's going pretty darn snazzy. How are you, Shane?
I'm really good. I'm way better now that I get to hang out and talk to you. And you are in this like beautiful location in an amazing camper. Where are you at right now?
We're just outside of Millerville, and we got our camper set up last week, and I just thought, well, I'll just commute to Calgary for a few days and see what it feels like, because I am loving it out here. It's just wonderful. And if you can see this beautiful view behind me, it's gorgeous.
Oh, I'm jealous. I'm like, yo, let's go summertime. I'm ready. I don't know about
I
you.
know. I mean, it's been pretty cold. I've been spending most of my time inside, but I don't care. It's lovely. It's just so lovely to see this view, and there's some horses, and it's just gorgeous. This morning there were 7 deer crossing the field until my dogs got out, and then they were running across the field after that.
A little bit of chaos always, right?
Yeah, always.
Oh, that's awesome. And we're here talking about some really exciting stuff. You just dropped your 7th studio album. And when I say just, about a month and a bit ago, correct?
Yeah, mid-February, Perfect and Broken got dropped. It's wonderful. It's actually my 8th studio. It's my 7th solo.
Okay. Okay.
Studio, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations. That is so exciting. 8 studio albums. That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, that's over a course of many, many years, like 4.
I love it. I believe it.
I think I put out my first record in 99. So
wow. You know what? When listening to this album, I don't know, it did transport me back to like, it instantly came to my mind better times. So when you say 90s is when you originally dropped your first album, like I love it. I love that sound. It's so good.
Yeah, the sound from way before you were born. I get it. I got it.
Okay, no, I'm a 90s kid. Okay. I promise. I know a little something. But Amy, I just wanted to know a little bit about you before we dive into talking about this album. I know you're from Calgary, but give us a little bit of background. Tell us who you are.
Well, I'm Amy from Calgary. I actually was born in Southern Ontario in the tomato capital of Canada. Very fancy.
Ooh.
Called Leamington. But we moved here to Calgary in 1980, and I've been here for the most part since then. So wow. I consider myself prairie girl for sure. And I've been plugging away at music since, I always could sing. My family was just always singing, so I didn't think it was really special to sing. I just thought that's something everybody did. I mean, if the Von Trapps from Sound of Music did it, then everybody does it. It's easy. Do a dear, you do it. And so I never realized it was a special thing to do.
Yeah.
Until I was probably in my late teens. And then I figured, well, one day I'm going to be super famous then.
I love
and look,
it.
Today I'm on the Eagle.
Wow.
So I made it.
You made it. I feel like I made it talking to you.
I just kind of kept doing it. And I hosted karaoke when I was a teenager. Like I started when I was about 18 and probably until I was about 21 or 22. And I never got discovered at the karaoke bar. Who knew?
Who knew? Well, you've been discovered now, and we're so glad.
Thanks.
Jumping into your album, so Perfect and Broken. I think it's the perfect title for what the album is. I think it relates with a lot of people. I related to it, listening to it for sure. Tell us a little bit about the album.
Well, the title track is Perfect and Broken. I wrote it with my wonderful friend, Lisa Jacobs. And it was a therapy session to write that song. It was like, just kind of stripped down. And when we were writing it, said, I don't know if I can say that, Lisa. And she's like, then let's write it as if you'll never sing it to anybody.
Yeah.
And just get it out. But the idea of, sharing parts of myself that maybe I've always kept a little hidden in my writing. This last record, that shield is gone. It's really just about expressing what's truthful and knowing that there are going to be people out there who can relate to it.
Uh-huh.
So the album itself, Perfect and Broken, the idea of it came kind of from I think it's the kintsugi bowl, like the art of, it's a Japanese bowls where rather than when a piece of a plate or bowl breaks, rather than sweeping it into the bin, they mend it with gold or with silver.
Wow.
And when they do that, that thing that was once broken becomes even more valuable. And I thought, well, as humans, we do that all the time. We go through things where we feel like we're never going to be the same. We're never going to really come back from this. And when you do that, take that time to mend yourself, you become all the more beautiful and all the more valuable as a person. And what a wonderful way to look at life is to know that, yeah, you can see all my cracks and you can see all my scars. And within each of those is something beautiful that created who I am today.
Oh, I got chills, Amy. Whew, that is, it's true. It's so true. I think, yeah, woo, great. I think it's so amazing when you can step back and understand someone and why they are the way they are because they've put their truth out there, right? So I love that.
Well, several years ago, I went to Nashville and I took part in a songwriting workshop with Mary Gaucher, who's an incredible songwriter. And through this week that I was there, she brought in different guests. And one of the guests was Gretchen Peters. And she wrote the song that I did cover on Perfect and Broken called 5 Minutes. And the first time I heard that song, I thought, how is she doing this? How is she writing something like that? Each word had a weight and each word had power. And it felt like such a true story. And I don't know where she came upon the story, if she did experience those things in her life. But what thing I learned during her part of that workshop is writing is about telling the truth. It doesn't have to be factual, but it has to be truthful. Would the person in your song do this? What's the truth of that person? Like embody whoever that is, and tell the truth about them. And I know the most about me. And so when I write songs, I'm writing for me. And sometimes it's really hard to dig deep and decide that, it's okay to reveal this part of myself. And a lot of times I have to trick myself into writing it. No, you'll never perform it. Just write it. Just get it out. And then after I write it, it's like, well, if this is making me feel, then somebody else can feel too. And so I end up usually sharing everything that I write if I feel it's good and if I feel it's truthful.
Wow. You know what they say, sharing is caring, Amy. So
it's also sharing is scaring.
It's true. It's so true. And you shared some very personal things in this album, some heavy things. I know you said that was kind of hard to do, but I guess tell us about that process. When you started doing it, did it become easier by any means?
It did. It certainly did become easier because it's like, well, you're over there. If they're listening to my music, they already know that about me. And they already know that I went through this as a child and they already know this. And so it just becomes much easier to tell the truth. But sometimes it slaps me in the face. When I started writing Brand New Day, that's the song that I co-wrote with Nikki Sixx.
Yeah.
That kind of came about because when I was on that television show, The Launch, he challenged me to write a song about my journey of how I created this body that I carry around with me. And, he had asked me, what's something that's gotten in the way of your success? And I had said, well, the biggest thing that's gotten in the way of my success is my own belief that I'm too fat to be successful. And he's like, well, you should write that song. And so I'm sitting there and I thought, okay, well, I didn't win. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, screw you, Nikki Sixx. I am going to write this song. And I started playing my guitar and I was angry. I wasn't feeling joyful. And I wrote the first lines that came out of me smacked me in the face because there was no thought behind it. It was just, where did that come from? And the lines were, I was a little girl ripped in two because of something no grown man should ever do. And I'm like, oh, crap. Is this where I'm going? Is this where I'm going with this song? Because I do feel like I'm the person who writes the song. I'm the person who the thoughts are coming through, but sometimes there is an inspiration. And sometimes it's just sitting there in the energy and then spitting out the words. And I was like, oh man, do I really want to go there? Do I really want to follow this road? And I'm like, well, nobody ever has to hear it, Amy. Okay. And I just kept writing.
Wow.
And it really smacked me in the face. I'm like, that's not something you generally talk about with people who aren't in your circle.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am about to drop it onto a record and send it out to thousands of people listening on the airwaves. Okay. But as soon as it was written and as soon as I shared it with my close circle, it was like, okay, I feel safe. And then I move on to, okay, I'm in a small venue where I know most people. Okay, I'll try it here. Mm-hmm. And I've been road testing that song for 2 years and it has such an impact when I sing it. People are like, it's a rock song. It feels like a rock song and people are crying.
Oh, I had it on my drive-in this morning and I think I went through every emotion. I was crying. I was like feeling it, like you feel everything in that song and your voice is just so incredible in it. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I of course, doing my research on you, Amy, I had seen A Brand New Day come up a couple of times. And when I listened to your album, I was just like, you know what? I'm like, I know that's a lot of people's favorite, if you will. So I was like, I'm going to hear something else that jumps out to me. But that was the one that just jumps at you for sure.
It does. And I think because of there's so many things you can say in 4 lines. Mm-hmm. What is that? 20 words? I think I counted it. I can't remember, but in 20 words, I revealed my childhood trauma. Mm-hmm. And then in the next line, I explain why I believe I built the body. I built a wall pound by pound. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, I'm saying a lot. There's a lifetime in those 5 lines.
Yeah.
And it just surprised me. But I think that songs like that have an impact where it's like, you're not waiting until the chorus or until the bridge to understand what the gist of the song is. Mm-hmm. Here you go. Throw it in your face. It's yours.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I know. And as hard as that is and awful as it is, I think people need to hear that stuff. So many people can relate to stuff like that. And when they hear your outlook on, it's a brand new day, it helps so many people, right?
Yeah. And it's so funny because when I was writing it, I wrote the bridge of the song and it goes from this, like, here's the confession. And then the next verse is, here's my plan of action. Mm-hmm. And then the bridge is like this, you know what? I'm taking back my power. Mm-hmm. And then there's another end of a verse with that's just sort of pounds that into space. And I've actually never even thought of it that way. As I'm saying, I'm like, well, here's the state of affairs. Here's my plan of action. And here's where I am. Like, I'm a force. Yeah. Like, I'm like, oh, I like it. But when I first wrote it and after I wrote the bridge, I sent it off to Nikki. Because he had, after I thought I had finished the song, I sent it to him. Yeah. And then he came back saying, well, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And we just I never actually had a phone conversation with him. It was all voice memos and emails.
Oh, cool.
Which I think was kind of great because I didn't feel intimidated. Yeah. I think if I was sitting in a room with Nikki Sixx and he had come up with any ideas at all, I would have been like, yeah, let's do whatever you said, But because he was taking it from this encouragement and, here, try this chord progression, here, try this. But there was no pressure for me to do what he wanted. And it was actually quite lovely not to know that I'm collaborating with this man, but I'm not feeling this energy of like, oh my God, exactly. And so after I wrote the bridge, I sent it off to Nikki. I'm like, do you think this bridge fits? And he's like, yeah. I figure this is going on the radio. I better not say that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But he was really enthusiastic. Of course that fits. But when I wrote it, I thought, well, that doesn't even fit. Yeah. But it all kind of comes together. I think, with this place where we live we're just all energy. And so when I'm writing, I'm just playing with energy. And so that's, it's when that bridge came, it came.
That is unreal. That is unreal. And when I read that you worked with Nikki Sixx, like rock legend, Motley Crue, wow, like so cool. What was that even like? Like on the episode of the launch? Because yeah, you were on the show, the launch, which is so cool. There was tons of celebrity artists to work with, and you got Nikki Sixx. Like, what is that like?
Well, here's the thing. My producer came into my dressing room and he said, "Your mentor," I hadn't met him yet.
Oh,
"Your mentor is Nikki Sixx." And I was like, oh, I had no idea who Nikki Sixx was.
Oh
and I just kept thinking, okay, when Robin leaves, when this producer leaves my dressing room, I'm totally gonna Google this Nikki Sixx.
Who's Nikki Sixx?
Well, who's Nikki's, like, who's this Nikki Sixx chick? I have no idea who she is. And he read my face and he's like, Nikki Sixx, Motley Crue, the bass player. He writes all the music. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know who Motley Crue is, because when I was a kid, all the cool kids were listening to Motley Crue. Well, totally. I was pretending to listen to Bon Jovi, but actually listening to Katie Lang.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong. But it was just, I wasn't tuned into that music. But I understand, I know some of that music. And so that night I Googled and did some, like, oh my God, he wrote Heroin Diaries. Like, this guy is so different from me. He's Heroin Diaries. I'm Minivan. It's just very different worlds. But when I met him, he was just a nice guy. Mm-hmm. Just a guy, really well spoken, very sweet. He smelled good, he was a good guy. And so my initial meeting him, I was intimidated because I thought, well, he's one of the cool kids and I was never a cool kid.
Yeah.
But he's kind of not a cool kid unless I'm a cool kid. Then we're both cool kids because we're very similar, like, energy wise. He was awesome. A lovely fella. And then when I sent him the song, I said, I wrote the song and you had challenged me to write it. So you want to hear it? And he said, yeah. I sent it to him. When he came back with these ideas, I'm like, oh my God, I'm collaborating with Nikki Sixx. But because we weren't sitting in a room together and there was this, didn't feel like that until it was done. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I just wrote a song with Nikki Sixx.
Yeah. You did write a song with Nikki Sixx.
And so I think it was probably a blessing that I wasn't realizing that was happening.
Totally.
It was funny because I had sent him the song and I ended up having a few shows in the Dominican Republic. So I was down in the DR when he finally wrote me back.
Wow.
And then I wrote him back from there, and it took a couple of days. So it took a few days to get responses back and forth from him. But yeah, I was in the Dominican Republic. So it was very surreal because, I think the Winter Olympics were on TV and I was in the DR and emailing with Nikki Sixx. So I was very distracted, and I almost got, by the time the song was finished written, I'm like, it's like I was tricked into writing a song with Nikki Sixx. I didn't ever stop to think, I'm writing a song with him, until it was almost over. I'm like, oh my God, am I writing a song with Nikki Sixx? Oh my God, so
that is unreal. And yeah, like almost in the DR, Winter Olympics on, Nikki Sixx is in your DMs. Like, what a life.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool kid, right?
Oh man,
is so cool. And to be on the launch, it was the first season of the launch and the only season, correct? Because
there were 2 seasons.
2 seasons, got you. Yeah. So I don't know, what was that experience like? What did you take away from that experience, Amy?
You know what? It was it was a positive experience all the way around. In hindsight, when the results came in and I didn't win, mm-hmm. Then I wasn't happy in that moment. But as I look back, it's like everything came out perfectly. When I was on that show, I got this mental equivalent of what life could be like.
Yeah.
My handlers come in and take me to the, like, I felt pretty fancy and snazzy. Yeah. And so that was pretty cool. But, and it was all around positive experience. The fact that Dan Huff, who's produced, Shania Twain and Faith Hill and, Michael Jackson, and he's done all of this stuff. He was, saying that my voice was in rarefied air. up with Celine Dion, up with these other voices, Whitney Houston. Can't remember all the names he had spoken. I'm like, really? He feels that way about my voice? You know, and this is an incredible, like, very successful producer who's produced mega stars, and he is blown away by my voice. Like, I was absolutely, and I'm still in touch with him as well. You know, he's just, you know, we haven't been able to work together, but it's been lovely to stay in touch with these people and who these connections from that show.
That is so cool for someone at that level to be like, you have something, you have everything. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. And your voice, seriously, when you hit that raspy notes, I was like, okay. And then you hit a high note and I was like, oh my gosh, like, it is so cool. So I have to ask, because I'm just curious, do you kind of like have inspo? Like, who do you draw inspo from when it comes to your style of singing and performing, Amy?
You know what? I don't know if I know that I have influences, because I listened to Katie Lang as a bazillion times when I was a kid, and I wanted to be a singer like her.
Yeah.
But as the years have come on, it's like, I'm never going to sound like her. I'm only ever going to sound like me. And so I play with my voice. Like, could I do that? Could I do this? And try and see what I can do with my own voice. I spent lots of years trying to copy what other, you know, like, you better try and sound like Patsy Cline. You should try and sound like this person and that person. And then for a few years I was giving vocal lessons, and I'd have people come in with fine voices saying, oh, I just want to sound like Adele. And I'm like, well, that's very nice. But let's just say Adele is a flute. And you're a French horn. You're never, ever going to sound like a flute. You can sound like a French horn who's trying to sound like a flute, or you can just be the best French horn. And so and like, everybody's voice is different. I believe if you have the ability to hear and the ability to speak, then you could probably sing. You may not always enjoy what you hear, but there are many singers out there who do very, very well, who don't have the best voices.
Yeah. And
so I think it's just about embracing the voice that you do have and finding a way to convey your message using it. And that's more where my inspiration comes from now, is how am I feeling while I'm singing this? How can I make you feel what I'm feeling? That's what I want to do. So I know people think I've had people say, you sound like Tracy Chapman, you sound like Katie Lang, and they give me lots of you sounds like it. Yeah. It's always meant as a compliment. So I'm always very grateful for what people have to say, because most people aren't going to say, you sound like Katie Lang. I hate her. Yeah. You know, like, most people, when they tell you you sound like somebody, it's because they like that somebody.
They like them. Yeah, totally.
And I can always hear, oh yeah, I can sort of hear that, because I know that as a person with ears, and I hear music, it's like, oh, that little riff they did with their voice, I wonder if I could do that. And all of a sudden it might be incorporated in what I'm singing, and I might not even know it. But when it comes to how I present what I do, it's really about what am I feeling, and how can I convey that to you.
That is so cool. And I can totally see it. I can hear it, because it's funny you said Tracy Chapman. That's the first person I thought of when I heard the first song on your album. But then the second song, I was like, okay, no, I'm getting something completely different. So you can hear each song is just how you are feeling in that moment, which is unreal.
And it's funny because I do a lot of work. I have the honor of kind of doing sing-alongs with adults with special needs. And so a lot of times they'll choose a song, and because I know that song so well, especially from I probably sing All Star by Smash Mouth 7 times a week.
Love it.
And I know that I put a little more throat into that singing because the dude from Smash Mouth, somebody. And so I'm doing that. I know that I do it. And so when I'm covering someone else's song, if I know that song well, then I sort of, without even thinking about it, emulate what I think they sound like.
Whoa, dang.
It's a little crazy.
That's impressive. I know I can't even sound like a good singer. Like I'm just trying. I must be copying a dying cat or something because it's not working for me, Amy. But
this is me pretending to be that cat in the alley.
that's what I sound like. You nailed it. That is so cool. And I want to know, your listeners, this new album you're putting out, so much out there. What are you hoping people get from it?
Oh man, I hope that they get from it what they need. You know, everybody's in a different place in their journey, so they might hear a song like Inside a Box and feel pain, where somebody else hears that song and thinks, you know, I was there once. You know, I think that I want people to feel. How about that? When people are listening to it, whether it be one of the ballads or, you know, even Sweet Summertime is a cool little kind of blue-eyed soul sort of bluesy feel, but it's a party song. It feels good, you know, but I just want people to feel, because when I was writing these songs, that's all I was doing.
Yeah.
Was just feeling like, okay, that's what I'm feeling, here we go. So,
totally. That is so.
It's because each of these songs was written, you know, anywhere from 2 to 4 years ago. Like they're not brand new. They've all been kind of road tested, been written and been played out at shows for the last couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah, I just been through this pandemic. I mean, the CDs was released during the pandemic and recorded during the pandemic, but I really didn't write anything during the pandemic. I just did not feel inspired at all.
Which is, I can understand. And lots of people, they're like, oh, I had so much time to, you know, think and write. And I understand that. Like, I was not trying to do anything, but
yeah,
it surprises me because Love, Trust, and Pixie Dust, which that song title by itself, amazing. But you would hear that and you would think you wrote that during pandemic, after pandemic.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
That was the pandemic. I would say, oh man, it was probably 2019. I wrote that. Like, so June of 2019, I was in somewhere. No, wait, was it April? 2019 though. I was in Toronto doing the Canadian Film Awards, I think.
Okay.
The Canadian Screen Awards. And my management had set me up to go and write with Shobali and Rob Wells, who are these incredible writers and incredible. Rob is an incredible producer. He's done lots of stuff. And so they're like, do you have any cool ideas? And I'm like, I had been at this conference that was Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust.
Okay.
And I don't really care for, or was it Faith, Trust, and Fairy Dust? And I'm like, I don't like that, but I like Love, Trust, and Pixie Dust.
Yeah.
So like, how about Love, Trust, and Pixie Dust? And then we just started to write. And actually he had said, well, what kind of music, like happy music, do you listen to? And I'm like, I love the Bare Naked Ladies.
Yes.
And so we kind of listened to a couple tracks of the Bare Naked Ladies and just kind of chose a beat that was similar but not quite the same. And it was a whole different way of writing for me, because usually I sit and write and until inspiration. If at first I have to be feeling the itch, and then I'll sit with my guitar and something will come up, and then I'll start writing. And with this, it was very intentional. Okay, so we're gonna need 8 bars for this part. We're gonna need another 8 bars for that part. And I was like, this is a very different way of writing.
Yeah.
And very cool for me to sit in this room with these people who probably pump out 4 or 5 songs a day. And, you know, I'm just one of them, but it was a great experience because sitting with them, I got to participate in a very different way.
Yeah.
In writing.
It was like it's like a puzzle in that sense, when you're like, yeah, this is what I'm working with, and now I gotta arrange it and find how it's gonna work. Very cool.
Yeah, it was very different. But they write in a very pop fashion. So this is, you know, like Love, Trust, and Pixie Dust could be considered a kind of a very popish written song.
Yeah.
Here's this, we got to get to the hook this quick. We got, you know, and it's a great song, and I love the message behind it, because you know, And I think it's the most lyrics I've ever put in such a short span of time.
I can see it. You had
Like,
that Bare
I'm
Naked.
about four bills.
You definitely had Bare Naked Ladies, like the 1 week kind of vibes going there.
For sure.
I
And
can
it's funny because I try and sing one week and I can never get it out. I'm working on another postcard. Do you know that song?
I would have to hear it.
Another postcard from chimpanzee.
Yes.
But the verses are like chimps in swimsuits, chimps in black boots. And I'm like trying to get it. I love it.
All I know is the part with it where they talk about chicken. That's the only part I can do in 1 week.
I love that song. But it's just so wordy.
Totally.
But, what's one thing I love about the Bare Naked Ladies? They put so many words, and I've always like in my ranks like less is more.
Yeah.
I'm like they're like no, way more is more.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, no, that is a great song. One of the ones that jumped out on me for sure. All of it was amazing, but yeah, that one, Brand New Day and Summertime, the Summertime one, love it. It's going on my.
You like the quick ones?
I do like the quick
your
ones.
Head.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to cry on her way to work.
Totally. And this is kind of a little bit a random, but you're also a mom of 4. You mentioned.
Well, I'm a mom of 3. My partner has 1 child, but we don't live together, so it's very. I mean, she is a stepchild to me, but I haven't been in her life long enough to be a mom for her.
Okay,
but I do have 3.
3, mom of 3.
But I do love her. Just to make that very clear. I love her very much. I just don't want. She already has 2 moms. She doesn't need me to step in and be another.
Bless. Oh, well, I love a blended family. I come from a blended family, so totally get it. But any of the kids kind of follow in your footsteps? Any of them have a musical?
All 3 of my kids have done music. My eldest is crazy musician. It makes me, I'm like in awe of him. He plays the saxophone. Wow. And he's been doing that. He's gonna be 17. I think he's been doing it for 6 years.
Oh my gosh.
He plays the piano. He's probably been doing that for 10 years. What else does he do? Oh, and then he just comes up and takes my guitar off the wall and starts playing Pink Floyd.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. And then, I'll just grab this bass and start playing Money by, that line. Doom, doom, doom. He just plays, and he teaches himself all these instruments. The piano he's been taking lessons and the saxophone is through school. But when he comes up and plays the guitar, he's taught himself that.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. Like he's playing Nirvana and I'm like, but can you do this? Yeah. I can do that. No, he's amazing. And then my middle child is a drummer.
Oh.
And honestly, he has a beautiful voice. He has a better voice than I did at his age, but he doesn't like to sing.
Oh, okay. So, okay.
Maybe and my youngest plays guitar, although they're not really that interested anymore. So
okay.
Yeah, it's not special to them, me being a musician, they're like, they don't care, whatever.
Your mom. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember trying to sing to them, sleep, baby mine, don't you cry, and then I just get this. Don't sing, Mom.
I'm showing you my God-given talent.
People pay me for this, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. You're getting it for free.
Not anymore. Try me.
Please, do it. Oh, that is so cool. I love musical families. That is amazing. And you've come from one, and I love it. That's so cool. And
both my brothers are trained opera singers. Neither of them really do all that much with their voice anymore, but they both went to school and got their master's in music performance. Dang. So it's very different. I didn't go to university, and I'm the one who I make my way with music.
Yeah.
And they went and they got their education, and they don't. But it's just all different choices and different, experiences. And I guess I'm probably just the most stubborn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's usually how it goes.
At one point I just decided, okay, no more day job unless it has to do with music. And it was a scary couple years. But you know, except for during the pandemic, I did drive for Uber, or not for Uber, for Skip the Dishes.
Gotcha. Hey, I ordered a lot of Skip the Dishes during the pandemic.
Well, I was probably at your house at least a couple times.
I thought I recognized you.
Yeah.
I was kidding. That is love it. This has been so amazing. And I need to know what's coming next for you, Amy. Any shows coming up?
Oh goodness.
Yeah, what's going on?
This Saturday, so the 9th, this Saturday on the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Jenny and I are doing a show at Airdrie at the Boys and Girls Club as a fundraiser for them.
Cool.
Jenny is Canada's unconventional medium. So she's a medium comedian. And between her and I, we put the show together. It's incredible because she does these readings, and whatever she's talking about or whatever song I feel inspired to sing when she's done talking is where I go. And so there's just this ebb and flow through the evening of, you know, this energy going back and forth. So she does this reading and it's really intense, and I'll do a song, and then she'll come up and do, and it's just this back and forth. So that's, we're doing that on at the Boys and Girls Club in Airdrie on Saturday. So, and then I think my next solo gig might be at the Tribal Connection in Okotoks on the 20 something. Is the 23rd? It's a Saturday.
Okay, I'll look into it. I'll get all the details.
Awesome.
Oh,
awesome. Yeah, it could be fun. I always really enjoy playing the Tribal because it's such a sweet little room, and the energy, and just, it's really sweet there. I love it.
It is. I remember the first time I went in there, I was like, okay, this house just keeps going. Like I never knew where it ended and it began, and it was so.
Well, have you been in the basement?
I've never made it to the basement yet.
I'm just kidding. I've never made it to the basement. I know it exists.
Now I'm a little nervous.
Did you go upstairs into the turrets?
That's yeah. No, it is so cool in there. Okay, I'll have to definitely put that on my calendar for sure.
Yeah.
And I know I asked to bring your guitar, and you did kindly. So you're gonna play us a little song, Amy. What are you gonna play for us?
Well, I don't know, because I was thinking I was gonna do Inside a Box, but you seem to like the fast ones. So
don't cater to me. You do whatever you want, but I like
listeners are probably gonna be all like, how come she's singing this sad song when Shane kept talking about these happy songs? I don't know, do Love, Trust, and Pixie Dust.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Lies lying on Capitol Hill, big pharma plugging more pills. Born up and showing up on my bill, some suit on the TV, tell me how to feel. Cut you off on the highway, chase them down with the road rage. Get your camera ready, then put them on blast on your Facebook page. Is this the world we're living in? Cause it sure don't feel like living. Guaranteed with a little bit of luck, a little more faith, and a lot less fuss, we can do much more than survive. All we need is a little more love, a little more trust, and some pixie dust. None of us is getting out alive. Love, trust, and pixie dust. Love, trust, and pixie dust. Haters make you question yourself. 00 is a size now. Everybody got something to sell. Even Big Brother sending ads to my email. Buy a bottle in the hot sun. Show it up as soon as you're done. When the hell we gonna wake up? We got a plastic Texas floating in the ocean. Is this the world we're living in? Cause it sure don't feel like living. Guaranteed with a little bit of luck, a little more faith, and a lot less fuss, we can do much more than survive. All we need is a little more love, a little more trust, and some pixie dust. None of us is getting out alive. Love, trust, and pixie dust. Love, trust, and pixie dust. Is this the world we're living in? Cause it sure don't feel like living. Guaranteed with a little bit of luck, a little more faith, and a lot less fuss, we can do much more than survive. All we need is a little more love, a little more trust than the Pixie Dust. None of us is getting out alive. Love, trust, and Pixie Dust. Love, trust, and Pixie Dust. Love, trust, and Pixie Dust. Pixie Dust. Love, trust, and Pixie Dust.
Woo! 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 My life has been made. Yes. Thank you. Wow.
You're welcome.
Highlight of everything. Thank you. My face hurts.
Oh,
that is, you are so good. So good, Amy. I cannot thank you enough for joining me today.
Of course.
I'm so glad I've discovered you and I can follow along with the rest of your journey. Where can people follow along as well if they want?
Go to amybishopmusic.ca.
Okay.
And you can follow my journey there. You can always go to on Facebook and all of those places because I'm always doing something. My friend Jenny and I do these car conversations, which are usually a little tongue-in-cheek and quite fun. And so, yeah, check us out on there. Check me out and check everybody out and Shane, everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody needs some loves.
Everybody say love. Oh, thank you so much, Amy, and all the best to you moving forward. Keep doing you because you're rocking it.
Awesome. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day. Enjoy Millerville. Okay. I'm jealous.
Bill, look at that.
I'm jealous. Okay. You have a wonderful one. Okay.
Thank you too. Bye.
Bye.